let's continue on the business theme and talk about the Competition Tribunal, which begins its hearings into the merger deal. This is the case between South African Airways and Takatso Aviation Consortium today. This comes after the Competition Commission recommended that the tribunal approve a 51% disposal of SAA. These are the shares to Takatso. This was back in May, but some conditions needed to be met. So let's understand what those conditions are. Business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo is at the hearings for us. Ntokozo, good morning to you. Could we finally see a conclusion to this deal?
Good morning, Xoli. Well, we are at the Competition Tribunal today for those hearings, and if they don't conclude today, they will continue on Thursday. And of course, every South African is waiting to hear whether that deal will finally take flight. It's, of course, been in the works for quite some time now, since back in 2019-2020, with the Takatso Consortium said to take over a majority stake, really, in SAA, 51%, and in the bid, of course, of turning the airline around. And those conditions, Xoli, as you said, that were recommended by the Competition Commission back in May, include the consortium, minority stakeholders in the consortium selling their share. And of course, we heard a couple of days ago that they've agreed to those conditions and have since hired an advisor, an international aviation advisor, to just set out the conditions of those sales, including just assess the market for those potential buyers. So once that is concluded, we should see this deal take off. Of course, SAA did have the results out earlier this year, back in March, with the interim CEO saying that it did manage to make a profit, but a partner still being important to really see sustainable profitability and the airline getting back to its stage and getting back some of those routes and profitability. But Xoli, this morning, before we prepared for the tribunal, which is set to start in about 15 minutes or so, I did speak to chartered accountant and political commentator Kaya Stole on just why it's important, really, for this deal to be wrapped up as fast as possible. And this is what he had to say, Xoli.
One of the biggest challenges has been the lengthy process that this entire exercise has undertaken. So firstly, the business rescue process itself lasted much longer than it should have. And then since then, what we've now been subjected to is a process of competition approvals themselves also taking a while. So that is actually all creating a lengthy process, which for a lot of people has created additional anxieties around, well, who exactly runs or who owns SAA. So it is in everybody's interest for this to be finalized as soon as possible.
And of course, Xoli, one of the reasons that the Competition Commission set those recommendations for the selling of that minority stakeholding is to really protect the competitiveness in the domestic passenger flight market. So over the next day or Thursday, we will be hearing then a little bit more detail on whether this deal is finally taking off, Xoli, and I will be updating throughout the day.
Ntokozo Khumalo, thank you very much. Live for us there at the Competition Commission. It's the SAA Takatso deal. Will it finally go through, or will it yet again hit a snag? We're going to have to watch very closely as to how that process unfolds.